Merry Christmas, everyone. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Christmas and holiday season. On this episode of the Clip Service podcast, we're going to talk about how the Clippers split the four games that we had. We went 2-2, beat the Pacers, beat the Mavs, and unfortunately lost to the OKC Thunder and the probably the best team in the league right now, the Boston Celtics. All that and more. We want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that's gone around, that's happened around the league. So we're going to try and get into all of that on this fine Christmas Eve. So without further ado, let's make it happen.
What's up, Clipper Nation, and welcome to the Clip Service podcast. Merry Christmas to everyone. Hope everyone is having a merry weekend and a merry Monday. By the way, you
Monday?
can find us on... Well, yeah, Christmas on Monday.
I thought it was... It's Sunday, dude.
Today is Sunday.
Today, okay. Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind. Continue.
Yeah, man. Anyways, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Amazon Music, and YouTube. And you can also find us on Twitter at Clip Service Pod, and we're also now on Instagram at Clip Service Pod. I'm Rola, and this is my co-host Nick. Let's get right into it, baby.
All right, guys. As Rola said, Merry Christmas, everyone. Hope everybody's safe. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. A lot to talk about, guys. Some good, some not so good, and some, some other things that don't have anything to do with the Clippers, but we still wanted to talk about it. Ja Morant is back. The Grizzlies obviously look a lot better with him back. I think they might have won 2 or 3 in a row. We wanted to talk a little bit about that, as well as what is going on with the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, they suck.
They're bad, but it's perplexing just how bad they are. So we're going to get into that as well. Actually, let's go ahead and start with that. So we're going to jump into a little segment. We're going to call it "What's Going On." We're going to talk a little bit about what's happening around the league, and we're going to start with the Glock King himself is back, and the Grizzlies are looking a lot better for it. So, Rola, did you want to get into that?
Yeah, man. My boy Ja Morant, man. Everyone was nervous after that game. Everyone was nervous he was about to pull out the 9 at the end of the game, but thankfully he didn't.
Thankfully.
But Ja Morant, man, he came back and he showed us why he is one of the best players in the league, top 5 point guard in the league, in my opinion. And he just makes things happen. He is so good. I don't know if you watched the game, Nick. But this dude is huffing. He's puffing. He's exhausted. He doesn't even know where he doesn't even know where he is. He's looking around, bro. He almost pulls out the 9 in the game, bro.
I wouldn't be surprised at this point.
No, but he's like the whole game. He's exhausted, bro. He's out of breath. He's asking for subs, bro. End of the game, this guy's like, you know what, bro? This is my shit. This is what I do. And he won the game for the Grizzlies. What was that, on Wednesday?
Tuesday against the Pelicans. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Just beautiful stuff, man. Drive down the lane, spin move, just awkward slanted toss into the basket.
I did see that.
Unbelievable shot. He's so good, man. And they are undefeated since he's been back, right?
Yeah, the 3 in a row.
He's a difference maker. He makes the team significantly better. I remember last year people were saying that the team was better without him. We saw in the first 25 games of the season, the team is not better without him. So we can put that to rest. I never want to hear anyone say that shit again, because this dude is a fucking baller.
He is. He's so hard to contain at the point of attack. He's got such a quick first step, and obviously he's an explosive finisher, explosive scorer in the paint. I think last year he led the league in points in the paint. It was either last year or the year before. Led the league in points
He's
in the
six
paint in the
two.
paint, and he's the first point guard to do that in a long, long time. So yeah, he's obviously such a floor raiser for that team. The league is better with players like Ja
Mm-hmm.
in it. So I personal stuff aside, I think that he's still. I think his dad came out and said that his circle of friends hasn't changed much, so we'll see what that means. Um, but off court stuff aside, he is one of the most exciting young players in the league, and the Grizzlies are being rewarded for having him back. I think he led the game, or at least had the most points for the Grizzlies against that game against the Pelicans, excuse me. And I think all 3 games he led the team in assists. So he's definitely raising their floor. We'll see what that means. They're in a pretty big hole right now. So whether or not they can break, they would have to win, I think, 12 more games straight to even break even. So we'll see. We'll see where they finish at the end of the season. I think their season's kind of already cooked. But
No
at
way.
least with Ja back, they have a chance. So
I
yeah,
don't
it
think
was it
it's
was good to see
cooked.
him. Okay,
I think. I
yeah,
mean, obviously that. I feel like the seat. What? How many? We're like
they're
a
seven
third
and
of the way.
19 right now. They're 7-19,
How many games? So what's 7 plus 19? 26.
26.
Um. Yeah, we're about like a third of the way into the
Yeah,
season, really.
yeah,
Um. Man, I think it. I think. I mean, this is a team that was what, second place last year, third place. They're a good team. It's basically the same team,
they
except
are. I do think that they overachieved a little bit last year.
what about the year before?
Personally, I don't even remember what happened the year before.
The year
They went to the
before.
playoffs. Was that when they went to the playoffs and played the Warriors, or was that
Uh
last year? Okay,
huh. Last year they lost to the Lakers. The year before they lost to the Warriors. But the year before, um, I think, I think they. I mean, that was the Warriors team that eventually won the chip. So that team was just really, really good. But I mean, I think this is a Grizzlies team that has proven themselves. I don't think they've overachieved because that was kind of what we were expecting from the series they had against the Warriors. I think that game went to 7 games, and the Warriors won because Ja Morant got injured. I remember Ja Morant got injured, and then the Warriors just torched them.
I
Um,
don't think that the Grizzlies really had what it took to win that series. To be perfectly honest,
I don't think so either, but it went 7 games. That's what I'm trying to say. Um, they're a good team, and so the expectation for that next year, I guess, which was last year, was that they would really prove themselves, and I think they did. And this year, and I think that was mainly because of Ja Morant. And I think this year, with Ja Morant, even though they're 17 and 19, I wouldn't say I wouldn't assume that they're any worse than they were last year, other than their centers not being available. But
that's
I
the
could
thing
see
is
them
they got
making
to
the
get some guys
playoffs.
back too.
And also,
Losing
I think it's a little bit easier now to make it into the playoff picture because of the play-in games. So I think as long as they get like a 7, 8, 9 seed, I think they're going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. Um, yeah, I think that losing, I didn't love particularly his shot selection on offense. I've liked what I've seen from him this year, but losing Dylan Brooks definitely,
Oh yeah,
they lose a little bit with him. Obviously, they brought in Marcus
Marcus
Smart,
Smart.
that helps, but guys like Brandon Clark were a big part of their formula last year. Obviously, Steven Adams is out for the season. They are at a little bit of a disadvantage. They're getting good stuff from some of their other guys. They did
Mm-hmm.
release Kenny Lofton Jr. He wasn't really doing anything, but it's definitely a different team than it has been um, in the past, particularly just from injuries, absences of players from injuries. But yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly possible. I think that that's a pretty deep hole to climb out of. Nine starting the season 9-19, but
Yeah.
we will see. They're going to have to overachieve a bit, and conversely, let's talk about a team that is underachieving. They're young, and they haven't proven themselves, and they've been bad in the past. But I mean, to say that they're underachieving this year, even with all of that being said, is an understatement. Let's talk about the Detroit Pistons, who I think only have 2 wins on the season, and they've lost 26 straight, I believe. What is going on with the Detroit Pistons? I don't know. I like a lot of their young talent. I think Cade Cunningham is one of those guys that can do a little bit of everything. There's not really a flaw in his game. He reminds me a little bit of a young Gordon Hayward. Obviously, his ceiling is higher, I think. But I think that in the respect of really a jack of all trades, master of none right now, um, you know, that kind of player can really elevate a team. And with him, obviously, they haven't had Jalen Duren, who's one of the best young bigs in the league, in my opinion. Paul George said on his podcast he reminds him of a baby Dwight. I kind of agree. He's like a really ferocious rebounder, big body. He's got great size. He's got a little bit of a touch around the rim, but yeah, 22 and 27, 15th in the East. Um, that's bad, obviously. And they headed for what could be the worst season in NBA history? I don't know. I think uh, our producer Mike pulled it up before the show. I think the worst season in NBA history was, what was it, the 2012 Charlotte Bobcats that finished the season 7-59. I think that was the lockout season. That's why it was
Mm.
shorter. And then right behind them was the 73 76ers, who finished the season 9-73. So yeah, I don't know. They're not headed in a great direction. I think that they'll be better, but what do you think's going on with these guys?
Uh, I personally think that the team is just not good. I hate to say it,
Do you think it's a
I
matter of personnel or
yeah,
coaching? Like, what do you think? Like, they
I
have
think
Monty
it's
Williams
no,
at the
I think it's
helm.
definitely a matter of personnel. Any like if you have decent players, you should be winning more than two games in 30 in 20 whatever 29 games. Um,
Yeah,
to only win 2 games is and how much of a streak are they on? It's
I think
they have
26 games that they've lost
26
in a
losing
row.
streak. Um, to lose 26 games in a row,
Yeah,
like
it's so
to
brutal.
not
I feel bad. I do.
so that's what I mean. That's not on coaching. Like you could have the worst coach ever. They could literally not have a coach, and if a team is like built together, one of those players is going to stand up, take that play, and win 1 game. Like how do you lose 26 in a row, dude? That's crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, it's almost like now teams don't like a team doesn't want to be the first team to lose to the Pistons. So I feel like every time a team comes out towards them, they're going to play really hard, which is unfortunate. So I think the Detroit Pistons are kind of just gonna keep losing at this point. I don't know who they're playing next. I don't know who they're playing this week or whatever, but I don't think they're a good team. I do think Kate Cunningham is a great player, but I don't think he's a great player to the point where he
Can carry a team out of this.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
At least not yet. I kind of agree with you. I think that, I think he's going to be an all-star level player at least at some point in his career. He's got the tools for it. He was
Hmm.
great in college. But yeah, I think a big part of it too is you got a coach that's in his first year. Monty Williams, in my opinion, he's a great dude, just a super high character guy. I think that he gets a lot of credit, maybe a little bit too much credit as a coach. But I think that being this bad and having a record like this, you can't put all that on a coach. And he's better than Dwayne Casey. I know that. Um,
Hmm.
but I think that it's just a matter of they don't have Jalen Duren. I think that's a big loss. He covered a lot of ground for them. He grabbed a ton of rebounds, was able to block shots, and then not having Bogdanovich, I think also hurts them a little bit. But I think that more so it's you have a coach that's trying to make things work with a team that has a lot of random pieces. They still have James Wiseman. They still have Marvin Bagley. I don't particularly think Marvin Bagley's better than an average NBA player. They have guys. They have a weird mix of vets. They have Monte Morris, who I don't think he's played a game this season yet. Alec Burks. Um, they have a bunch. Yeah, they have a their team composition doesn't necessarily set them up for success. I think that Jaden Ivey deserves to play more than he's been. I think Killian Hayes should be playing less. Killian Hayes is a great, he's a great defender, but doesn't have much of a jump shot. And this is a team that needs shooters because
Dude,
if
you're
Cade's
telling me
not going to
this
be able
team
to,
is. You're trying to tell. Sorry to cut you off. You're
no,
telling me
you're
this
good.
team isn't trash, dude.
They're trash,
This is
obviously. I mean,
trash,
2-27 is trash. No matter which way you slice it, it's really bad. But I don't think they're
dude.
as bad.
This
I don't
is
think they're as
so
bad.
bad, bro. I
They
haven't
have
seen
they
their
have a
full. I
bunch
haven't
of
seen their
really
full
good young
roster.
pieces. They have a bunch of really good young pieces. I
Nah,
like Beef
dude.
Stew. I think, like I said, I'm a big advocate of Jaden Ivey. He's still pretty raw, but I think that he should be getting more minutes than Killian Hayes. I
Killian
like
Hayes
Asar
is
Thompson.
trash.
I like Asar Thompson a lot. James Wiseman is horrible. I like Marcus Sasser. I think that he's probably their best shooter.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if he's being utilized properly. They just have a bunch of pieces that don't really fit. They have an excess of certain things and, a deficit of certain things too. I think they need more shooting. It's head scratching that they've gotten to this point so early in the season. Yeah, they're not top 20 in I don't think any statistical category right now. It's it's bad, and I really hope that they figure it out because that was one team. One of our buddies, Ryan, is a big time Pistons
Shout
fan,
out.
and shouts out Ryan. Um, he's going through it right now. I know that, but no, he before the season started, I was telling him I think this is the year that the Pistons can compete for a play-in spot because they have the talent that they do have. They have a
You
handful
said
of.
that?
I did. And they have a
Damn.
handful of really talented young players with a high ceiling. Obviously, a lot of them haven't met their ceiling yet, but like I said, I like Asar Thompson. I like Cade Cunningham. I like Jaden Ivey. Jalen Duren's already one of the best young centers in the league. They have guys that can chip in certain ways. Beef Stew, Bogdanovich, and he's probably going to be traded, but until that time comes, he can give you 20 a game. The on paper they look like they could compete for a play-in spot, but obviously that hasn't come to fruition. And yeah, holy shit, 2-27. There's really not much else that needs to be said other than hopefully they figure it out. That's we're talking about the Grizzlies being able to fight to get to 500.
Bro.
I don't think it's possible for the Pistons to get to 500 right now. I think it can happen, but I think it's very unlikely.
It's impossible, bro. It's impossible. They don't have any unless they trade for like Kevin Durant. They don't have anyone that's good enough to pull them out of this.
Well, that was going to be my next question is what do you think that they do from here? I've heard talks around the league that they're looking to make a swing before the deadline. One player that I've seen that we should keep an eye out for in terms of the Pistons acquiring him is Zach LaVine.
Dude, no way.
That's what I've heard. Zach LaVine, I think that there's a bunch of guys that kind of get talked about perpetually as the trade deadline approaches. I think one of those players would be OG Anunoby. I think that he's kind of always talked about in that vein. There's players out there that they can make a swing for, but I mean, do you do that when the record? That's the thing. Is like, do you do that right now when the record is so bad that you don't really have a chance of making a run later in the season? What do you think needs to happen? Do they fire the coach? What's the formula, Rola?
I think the formula is to start the process, bro. I think that's
the process has already started, man. They're 2-27.
I think they just lock in on just losing and just throw.
Well, they're doing a pretty damn good job so far.
They should try to to not have the record of the worst season ever, and then after that, they might as well.
The lowest bar on earth. So the bar,
come on,
the bar this season needs to be don't be the worst team ever assembled.
No, seriously, and honestly, just stop playing Cade. Save him for next year.
Well,
And
he's got to get reps, dude. He
no,
has to
dude.
get reps because then you're gonna
But
you're gonna run this back next
not
season, and
losing
Cade's
reps, bro. Not once they start. Maybe
they're
once they
already
win, like
losing, bro. Cade needs to
exactly.
play. Cade needs to
I don't.
play.
I don't think it's worth. I don't think it's worth it, dude. I personally don't, because I think that he. I think that even though he will develop playing like actual games, I don't think it's worth risking his health and his injuries for a worst season of all time. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, it makes sense. I don't know. I just think that regardless of how you're playing throughout the season, your stars need to get playing time, which is why I think Jaden Ivey should be playing right now. You need to play the guys that you're willing to move forward as franchise pillars, and I think that Jaden Ivey could be that. He's got a little ways to go, but Killian Hayes is not going to be a franchise pillar. I think he's a bench guy at best.
yeah,
Yeah, I think just try and win a couple games, try and keep morale high, and play the guys that you want to move into the next season with.
I
That's what
agree.
I'm thinking. But yeah, I think it's about time to get into the team that matters, and that would be your Los Angeles Clippers. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the four games that have happened while we were away. Starting off with probably my favorite game of the season, which was a 151-127 win that we took against the number one offense in the league, the Indiana Pacers. James Harden led the game with 35 points and had an absolute masterclass in the fourth. The game was already kind of over, but James Harden went off,
Mm-hmm.
scored 21 points in the fourth. Kawhi looked amazing in the first half. I think
Unreal.
he went. I have the notes pulled up here somewhere, but I think that he went perfect from the field the first half of the game.
Yeah, I
He
think he was
looked
7 of 8.
like he looked like a machine. Brian Seaman had one of my favorite calls this season, called him the aimbot, which I think is so good. Uh, he couldn't miss, and he obviously put the hammer down early, got the lead up to a pretty sizable margin, and then as we saw, James Harden went vintage. James Harden hit a ton of threes. I think he might have hit all 8 threes. He went 8 for 11 from the 3-point line for the game, and I think at least 6 or 7 of those were in the fourth when he went for 21. uh, what did you like about this game, Rolla, aside from just about everything?
This was an unbelievable game. Um, I gotta say, James Harden was balling like a fucking monster.
He was.
Uh, this dude, I think they mentioned this during the game, but Kawhi was balling. Kawhi was doing him. He's balling the entire game, and he was like 7 of 8 at halftime, or like he was like
Yeah.
somewhere around that range,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like, Kawhi's having an unreal game. He's so efficient. This, that, the third. And then James Harden just went off. James Harden went 12 of 16 from the field. And they were like, after the game, um, if I told you that at halftime that Kawhi wouldn't have the best efficiency on the team at halftime, you wouldn't believe me. James Harden just decided not to miss.
Yeah.
He sat back and he's just like, I'm gonna go off right now. I'm gonna go off right now. Step back, left
Yeah.
hand.
Well,
Oh
that's
my
the thing, is the way that he
god,
was scoring was vintage, dude. He was hitting the side steps,
disgusting,
step back, had
disgusting,
the best moment of the game was that 4 point
disgusting,
play that he was able to draw.
disgusting.
the you heard it here, folks. It was disgusting. No, but my favorite play of the game was James Harden was getting on a heater. I think prior to this moment, he had already hit like 3 threes in a row, and then called for the ISO. Everybody clear out. Drew, I forget who. I think it was Buddy Hield was guarding him. Deep three, step back, 4 point
Deep.
play. Hit the deck. It was doing snow angels on the ground. The bench was.
They're
Jeannie
going
Zelasco
crazy.
actually tweeted out a video. She was sitting behind the bench, and the bench reactions during that moment, and honestly during James Harden's whole offensive flurry, was everybody was so hyped.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was off their feet when James Harden was doing snow angels on the ground after that 4 point play. Everybody came over and helped him up, and he screamed into the camera. It was just
Yeah.
it was a it was an out of body experience for Harden, who's really elevated this team to a level that you know I expected to see a lot of this, but he's really lifted this team up and elevated everybody's game exponentially. The Clippers shot 57 from the field overall, 50% from three. And Zoo had another great game. Big part of that was, like I said, James Harden as a floor raiser. Zoo ended the game with 18 points, 16 assists, and 3 blocks. That's just a monster game from Zoo. PG chipped in with 27 points, a very quiet 27 points
Hmm.
considering the what his two counterparts did throughout the game. Terrence only gave us 4, but was a plus 10. I want to talk a little bit about Terrence later. Um, and Norm Powell doing what he's been doing, coming off the bench, giving you 19 points, 6 for 11, hit 4 threes. We were cooking, dude. Russ only played
Big
17
time.
minutes, but he was able to chip in with 10 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. Just a well-rounded game from Russ, as he's been doing in a very short amount of minutes. Um, just a great game from everybody. Early on in the game, Isaiah Jackson, Tyrese Halliburton had a bad game, I will say. Guys
Horrible.
like Isaiah Jackson were really chipping in and kind of dominating us early on, but Kawhi kept us in it and then was able to extend that lead. So we kind of put them away before the second half. Um, and yeah, it was just a great game all around. My favorite game of the season, I would say. Benedict Mathurin, whose game I love. He's another young
He's
player that I
so
really
good,
like.
dude.
He's got
Slept
that
on.
big frame. Yeah, definitely slept on. He's got that big frame. He was able to get into the teeth of the defense early on, take a bunch of contact, finish through contact. Ended up finishing the game with 34 points. Obviously, nobody was really talking about that because what was happening on the other side. But great game from Benedict Mathurin. But yeah, I mean the second highest score was Buddy Hield and Obi Toppin. Or actually, no, excuse me, it was Isaiah Jackson with 15. So kept everybody out of it. Halliburton only finished the game with 8 points. He did finish the game with 11 assists, but 4 turnovers. Very uncharacteristic game from Halliburton. Just a great game from the Clippers all the way around.
Yeah.
Just pure dominance, and it was something. It was something that we had seen continuously throughout the our winning streak. And we ended up taking what was the most demonstrative victory of the season
Hmm.
against a very very good offense.
And I gotta point out, our starters: Paul George plus 22, Kawhi plus 27, Zoo plus 27, James Harden plus 32, Terrence plus 10, and Norm Powell plus 23. Bro, these players were playing out of their minds. This is what we need from our starters. I think if our starters are playing this well, I don't think there's a team in the league that can beat us, honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
And
And
it goes beyond just scoring points. It goes beyond just getting assists or boards. It's the blocks. It's the steals. It's the hustle factor that our players are showing, and the energy that our players are showing. And that's probably the biggest thing I took away from this game.
totally. Yeah, I mean, Indiana isn't a great defense at all. Letting a team score 151 on you is, you know,
Horrific.
yeah, it's not great. But they're a great offense. They're number one in assists per game, number one in points per game, and I think that's really impressive to be able to take it to a team like that, regardless of where they sit. As a defensive team, and just a great win all around. And we continued this play against the Dallas Mavericks. The next game that we played was that a back to back? I can't remember. Second night of a
Um,
back to back.
I think it might have been. I can't remember.
Let's see.
Um,
Mike's pulling that up for us right now. No, so there was one game off in between, but we ended up taking the 120-111 win against the Dallas Mavericks in Dallas.
mhm.
Kawhi was continuing his scorching streak.
Dominance.
Yeah, his dominance: 30 points, 5 assists, 10 rebounds. Had a block, was a +7. A quieter game from some of our other guys, and Paul George actually missed this one, I think, with an illness. Um, but yeah, so quiet game from everybody else. I would say Amir Coffey chipped in with 12, 17 from Harden, and 11 assists. That's great to see. Zoo had a quieter game. Only 9 rebounds, but 12 points. Norm Powell chipped in with 21. You got good minutes from Russ and Tice with 11 and 10 respectively. This was a great game, particularly because I love beating the Mavericks.
Your
This was a
fans
little
talk too
bit,
much shit, bro.
yeah, and Luca, Luca's an amazing player. I have a lot of respect for him as a player, but he definitely gets under my skin. He's gets and I think it's to his detriment too, because there's sometimes when he gets a little tilted, and you
Mm-hmm.
can see that he's frustrated, and sometimes that permeates throughout the rest of the team. He ended up finishing the game with 28 points, but he was 9 for 25 from the field, not a great percentage. 2 for 11 from three. Tim Hardaway had a pretty big impact, 21 points. This game was interesting because we I think we had the lead early on, and then we finished out the second quarter terribly. The Mavs came storming back in the third, and then Clips get a double-digit lead, and then a poor effort in shot selection allowed the Mavs to cut it to 2 to end the third. It was kind of a back and forth affair in the second half, and Tim Hardaway was feeling himself, which I mean he should have. We were playing pretty poor defense to end that second, like I said, and he got a couple big shots off before halftime, gave them a little bit of life,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a closer game than I would have liked to see in the fourth. But Kawhi ended up taking over and putting it away. He had just an amazing Euro step. Was backing down Grant Williams, turned the corner, got the Euro step off in crunch time, and hit the bucket at the rim to kind of put this game away. What did you see from this game that you liked? Because there was some stuff that I didn't love, but I want to hear what we liked first, Rolla.
Um, I thought it was an overall great game. Kawhi with 30 points, like you said, he's just been balling recently, and he's been exactly what we need. It's unfortunate that he has been injured. I guess
Yeah,
not really
oh,
injured, but
and
he's been taking.
that came in that game too. There was a
Yeah,
minute
he like
left, and Grant Williams committed a pretty hard foul
yeah.
on him for no fucking reason, which really grinds my gears. But that's neither here nor there. Fell on his hip. I think he's a day to day, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, I think he should be playing. Next game is we'll get into this, but he'll be playing the next game after Christmas. I
yeah.
hope. And what I
Fingers
assume,
crossed.
but Kawhi's just been balling. He's really been locked in. And this is going back to episode what was it like 3 or 4
Yeah, no,
where I called
I
him
know what you're
out.
gonna say. You did. He
And
heard you, Rolla. I promise
bro,
you, he heard
I'm
you.
telling you, dude. He honestly he listens to our. I've seen his name come up on the
Yeah,
views
yeah.
list.
I've seen it, dude. I've seen it. He's
But
subscribed on all platforms.
he's
He
subscribed on
sends.
all plats, bro.
Yeah,
No, Kawhi. Look, me and Kawhi are homies. I don't think I told you that, but yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes we chat,
He-
we talk on the phone, every once in a while. But I was telling him, I was like, "Yo, bro, you got to step it up. What's up with this 10 points, 15 points type games?" And
he's
ever
like,
since
okay.
then, he's been he's like, "Okay, I got it.
He's
I'm a,
like,
I'm a,
bet.
I'm a ball out for you." And
Yeah.
ever since then, he's been balling 30 plus every game, and we've been
Thank
winning.
you for that, Rolla.
Yeah,
Clipper
see,
Nation
that's a
owes
true
you
Clipper
a
fan, bro. I'm not afraid to
tremendous amount.
tell the truth, bro. I'm
Yeah,
trying
yeah,
to tell
yeah.
him. But yeah, overall great game. James Harden, another player who's just been balling recently. I think he's been very determined to prove a lot of his haters wrong.
Yeah,
And I mean, he mentioned in that one interview where he said, "I'm not a part of the system. I am the system." Was that the exact quote?
I think no. I think he was saying I'm not a system player. I am a system,
Right, right,
and that
right, right.
ruffled everybody's feathers. But if you
Bro,
contextualize
but
that,
I don't know. I don't understand why. It's the thing is like when a team flows through him, and I think that's what he means is I'm not a system player, as in like yes yeah sure if you want him to be like a role type player or like even though he's a star superstar, he shouldn't be constricted into one type of game. He's trying to say like I can score points, I can make assists, I can even now he's playing hard defense. He can get boards. He can do everything there is in the game at a high level, and I think that's what he means by "I am the system." Because if you flow the game through him, I mean, good things happen. We've seen how well he's been playing recently, and we've seen how the team has been playing recently, and we've been getting wins, and we've been playing well together overall. We've seen our players who play off ball, like Norman Powell, play a lot better. We've seen Paul George play better. We've seen Kawhi play better. And I mean, that's kind of where I feel like that's the best way for our team to play right now. And I mean, James Harden is a former MVP, dude. Like to even hate on him for saying that, like how can you hate on someone who's a former MVP for saying that? That'd be like hating on Giannis for saying that. Like, come on. You're gonna hate on LeBron for saying that. You're gonna hate on Giannis for saying that. You're gonna hate on KD for saying that. These are guys who have proven that they can be the best player in the league. So why would you not play through them?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it was just one of those things where the media chopped it up and kind of
Of course.
clickbaited it to the point where it was like that was the end all be all of what he said. I'm a system. Everything revolves around me, and that's not the case. That's not what I extrapolated from it. I think yeah, kind of like what you're saying. I think that what he was touching on is he has the ability to be able to elevate a team when he's given the reins a little bit
Hmm.
and allowed to kind of use his creativity because he's such a great basketball mind. I mean,
Right.
his IQ on the floor is tremendous, and I think that's kind of what he was saying. He didn't want to be slotted into a specific role to be told, okay, this is the amount of assists you need to get,
Right.
this is the amount of points you need from us. We need you to do this, this, and this, and
Right.
and and it made me honestly I loved the quote because
Me
it
too.
showed that there was a guy that can read between the lines a little bit and kind of give what the defense or give what the defense gives him or you know what I mean, take advantage of the
Hmm.
defense as it happens, and he's not going to just fit into a role. He's going to use his basketball talent. He's one of the best offensive basketball players of all time, in my opinion. And so to be able to use those tools that he has to elevate a team, I think that's what he was saying. So I agree with you. He's been a floor raiser for us in a way that a lot of people weren't expecting. And he was a big part of that win streak that unfortunately came to an end after this game. It had to happen at some point. In the moment, I was a little bit frustrated as it was happening, but we got to lose a game at some point. It was quite a demonstrative loss. We ended up taking the loss to Shea and the boys, 134 to 115.
This was the back to back, right?
This was yeah okay yes. This was the second night of a back to back. We did not have Kawhi. He was out, and he's still a day to day, as we said before. So really, the offense was run through Paul George and James. Um, this is where things started to, and obviously, you have to contextualize. Um, you have to be able to say, okay, we don't have Kawhi. We're on the second night of a back to back. This might be a tough one, but this is where I started to see things that I didn't love. One of those things was Paul George, who was, I think he was still kind of coming off of an illness that had him sit out of the game prior. Um, but he had 22 points. But for me, his defense didn't look sharp. We ended up battling back and taking a 1 point lead sometime, I think, in the third, which was great to see. But after that, it started with he went to the hoop, took some contact, and was complaining to the refs about not getting the call. Didn't get back on defense, and we allowed for an easy bucket. And it was just little things like that. He didn't look super engaged, and I can't really nitpick with how good he's been. But the one thing that I can say is, when Kawhi's out and we need you to step up, we need you to not only contribute as far as, he had 22 points, but we need you to be a tone setter on defense, and we need you to stay engaged. You need to be the leader on the floor, command the win, because that's what Kawhi did against the Mavericks. The Mavericks cut it pretty close, and Kawhi took over the game and sealed the game with a couple big buckets. Him and
Hmm.
Norman Powell took over in the fourth of that game, and that's what you need to do, especially against a team like OKC who really wakes up for games against us. They're a great team this season. They're playing better than a lot of people assumed that they would, and they took it to us. They took it to us in this one, and I didn't love what I saw from both James and Paul, but I think I have to put a little bit more onus on Paul George because he's one of the leaders of this team, and he is part of the 2-1-3, and he's got to be able to set the tone. I loved what I saw from Russ. 13 rebounds, 4 assists, 15 points. He did have 5 turnovers, but from what I saw from him was a guy that wanted to win, and a guy that was he was competing the whole time. I think that he, just based off the eye test, was my favorite player in that game. Just because of the drive that he had to win. But what did you see? What did you see, Rolla, that you either liked or didn't like? Or
So I saw just a little bit of this game. Um, but what I really wanted to touch on was, what I wanted you to touch on, because you mentioned that Paul George was kind of, he didn't seem as energized. He didn't seem like he really wanted to be there.
yep,
But I wanted you to touch on Terrence Mann, because I'm seeing
yes,
minus 31, and that's not something I want to see. So if you want to like touch on it, like I don't know if
yeah,
you,
I actually would,
yeah,
if you'll have me.
of
Uh,
course,
so
but careful what you say, bro. That's my boy.
no, of course,
But
he's
go
my
on,
boy
go
too,
on.
dude.
Yeah.
Um, Terrence Terrence is someone that I'm gonna ride or die for, as long as, I mean, even if eventually he's not on this team at some point down the road, I'm always going to ride or die for Terrence. He's given this team so much. He's put in positions where he has to play. One night he has to play center, guard centers. One night he has to play point guard. He hasn't been given the tools to necessarily uh, be as successful as he should, and I think that's most of that's on Ty. But he's always stepped up to the occasion. But in this stretch, even going back to the games that we won, he hasn't. He's looked scared. I think a big part of that is his shot hasn't really been falling throughout the season. He's never been like a monster scorer consistently, but one thing that I've seen is he's afraid to shoot, and when he does
Mm-hmm.
shoot, it's rushed. He's shooting a very low percentage from three this year. And we know that that's not, he is typically a very good catch and shoot player, or at least very solid, but we haven't
Mm-hmm.
even really seen that from him this year. And I think his confidence is just shot right now. I still think that he's best as our starter. I haven't given up on him in that regard yet. But yeah, he's averaging the lowest point total since his rookie season, 2019-2020 season so far, and it's been tough from Terrence. And I'm not saying that we need him to average 15, 16 points, but
Mm-hmm.
we need him to at least keep defenses honest. And one way he can do that is just when he's given the ball and he even has a little bit of daylight at the 3 point line, just go ahead and shoot it. Go ahead and put that thing up, um, because he's hesitating. You can see the wheels
Big
turning
time.
in real time, and it usually will lead. He'll jab step or pump fake, drive it into the teeth of the defense, take a really cockeyed like turnaround jumper, and that's not how he is best utilized. I
Mm-hmm.
think that he's the type of guy that when he's given easy shots, when he's given open shots, he should take advantage of that because he does so much else. He's a great rebounder. He's probably one of our best point of attack defenders, um, outside of 2-1-3, and it's been tough. It's been tough. I won't lie, but like I said, I'm still an advocate. I still think that he is the best fit as our starter next to James Harden, but he needs to be better. I won't lie. He needs to be better. It'll open things up for everybody. Just like when James Harden plays better, Zoo has a better game. When Terrence Mann plays better, it opens things up for so many people. So you know, we go as far as everybody else goes. It's a team
Right.
effort, and everybody needs to step up into their role, and he hasn't really done that lately.
Yeah. I agree. Uh, like you said, I'm a pretty big ride or die fan for Terrence Mann. Also, um, I would die tomorrow for him. Actually,
Damn, on Christmas Day,
that's how
dude.
serious it is, bro. That's how. If Terrence Mann was like, "Yo, bro, I need you to die,"
Yeah,
I'm gone, bro. I'm off the planet. No, he's he's. It's just because, man, I feel like he could be so good, and it's just sad to see him. It just feels like he's regressed a little bit, and
yeah,
like you said, it looks like it's a confidence thing because we've seen.
yeah,
I mean, the dude put up 39 points in a playoff game, bro, and we've seen him turn up. And when he has those open shots that he usually takes and he usually makes, that's not happening this year, and it just kind of hurts to see. And I think it is because of the injury at the beginning of the season, so that maybe kind of set him back a little bit. He's not mentally as serious as he was, just because maybe he, like, part of his mind is protecting himself and protecting his body, and another part is trying to make the shot or trying too hard. And he's not kind of just being naturally him. Like I said, when Terrence Mann is on, there are maybe three or four other players in the league that can have the same effect that he has. And he's so rare in that if we lost him, I don't think that we are a championship team, because I don't think that we would. I think every team needs to have someone like Terrence Mann on their team to win a championship.
I agree.
For the Nuggets, it was Bruce Brown, and I think for us, it's Terrence Mann. And I think honestly, I think a little bit Russell Westbrook, but I
No,
don't know.
I
I'm still iffy
no
on Russ, but
see. Okay, so that's where I want to chime in just real quick,
mhm.
if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Um, Russ is kind of the way that I feel about Russ, particularly this season, is kind of the opposite to what I feel about Terrence Mann right now, in the fact that Terrence should try and study what Russ has done in the last 10 games and utilize that to where, and what I mean by that is Russ, in my opinion, is uh, as big of a key to our success as anybody on the team this season. For this reason, we have a super team, right? We've
Hmm.
been able to assemble a super team. The difference that I see between this super team and a lot of the other super teams in the past is you have two guys, two Hall of Famers, you know, unanimous Hall of Famers, and James Harden and Russell Westbrook on your team. To a lesser extent, James Harden, but both of those players are having to be slotted into specific roles. James Harden's role is to be the primary facilitator and score when he can,
Hmm.
when the defense allows him to. And Russ is being, he's him and Norm Powell make up our, tandem six men unit. And Russ is playing less minutes than he has in a long time. But his defense, I think he's a top five player in the league in opponent field goal percentage. He's locking opposing players down. This is one of his best defensive seasons of his career so far. And in this game, even though we took a bad loss, he gave us 13 rebounds and 15 points. He played a good amount of minutes because of us missing Kawhi, but prior to that, he's playing 17 minutes, 18 minutes, 19 minutes. He's not playing a ton of minutes, but he's been able to contribute on the margins, and he's being able to take shots. I mean, sometimes as you do see with Russ, he'll force shots, but for the most part, during this stretch, I haven't seen him force shots. I haven't seen him try and take anything that wasn't outside of his wheelhouse. He's locking down the opposing players. He's grabbing rebounds,
Hmm.
and he's playing with a confident. He's playing with confidence, even though he's not in a role where he's the go-to guy. And I think that's what Terrence needs to do is, find ways to be productive, find ways to take shots that make sense, and just do what he does. Because if we can pull this off, guys like Terrence and guys like Russ, particularly Russ, because he's, like I said, he's a Hall of Fame player that's basically playing a six-man role in limited
Yeah.
minutes. And he hasn't complained about it. He's always cheering off the bench. So many guys on this team have been able to sacrifice and not hang their heads or anything like that. Bones Highland is one of those guys. And that's what Terrence Mann needs to do. I think that he needs to do what Russ has been doing for us, and find ways to contribute. Don't force anything. Find ways to contribute in the minutes that you're given, and know that you are a great player, because Terrence Mann is a great player, and I think that he needs to get back to realizing that.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's kind of the that's kind of the thing that I wanted to touch on the most, is just the way that Terrence has looked. Other than that, I mean, it was the second night of a back to back. We took a loss that we probably were inevitably going to take.
I think this is the one
Um,
we predicted, right? No,
it was this one, and then the game after,
the
which
Celtics game.
we'll
Yeah.
actually kind of go into right now. This one was always going to be tough. It was a noontime game against probably the best team in the league at the moment, and it showed in the final
Nah.
box score. We ended up taking a 145-108 loss to the Boston Celtics at home. Unfortunately, we weren't able to give the Clipper fans their holiday dub, but it was kind of to be expected. We didn't have Kawhi in this one. Our leading scorer was Paul George with 21. kind of more of the same that we saw against the Thunder, where him and James Harden both looked pretty bad on defense. The Celtics were shooting lights out from three. Those two in particular were kind of late to rotations, late to getting out on shooters. Jason Tatum did his thing, hit 5 threes, ended up ending the game with 30 points. Derek White was a big contributor as well. Jaylen Brown, 24 points, hit 3 threes as well. They kind of cooked us all the way around, and this would have been one, where I would have loved to see PG and Harden step up a little bit, but we kind of didn't get that. And
No,
then going back to Terrence Mann, didn't hit a single shot, 0 for 10 from the
dude,
field,
it's
0 for 3
tough.
from three, 0 points.
Jesus.
Um, it was this one was a rough one. This one was definitely a rough one. I had a little bit to drink yesterday. Was having a good time with my friends, so I didn't care as much. But yeah, this one was a rough one. What were your takeaways, Rola? Because other than it being a bad
Yeah,
game, I don't have much else to say.
I saw a little bit of this game. Well, I don't want to say a little bit, but I saw the first half, and we just didn't look good. We were down by what were we down by at half? Do you remember? Or
A lot.
it was enough to make me not want to watch anymore.
Yeah.
And then I turned it off, and then I went back kind of towards the end of the third quarter, and the game was basically over. Um, I don't think we were ready, and I don't think we had the energy to play the Celtics yesterday. Um, we just didn't look like we wanted to be there. Our stars didn't look like they really wanted to play. And then just seeing Terrence Mann miss every shot was just not only was he missing shots, dude, they were getting blocked. He just didn't seem as mobile.
Aggressive.
Yeah, as aggressive. He didn't seem to have the energy he usually has. And overall, just a bad game. I think I don't think that the Celtics are the best team in the league. I think that is the Clippers currently with Kawhi starting and playing well.
Okay, I like
But
it
yeah, I think we're easily the best team in the league, especially
when we're healthy.
nine win streak Clippers is the best
I
team in the
agree.
league. But
I love it. I love
um,
it.
I think that this was just a game where I think we were like, I think last week I had said that we were going to lose this game also, and I think you had said that you thought we were going to win. But I just didn't see it happening. One, because I feel like we have been playing so well recently that I think the Celtics would have been a little bit more motivated to beat us than we would have
Yeah.
liked. So I think that's the issue. And yeah, man, I want to see more from Paul George. And I know I said this a lot about Kawhi, and I know I always preach about like our superstars being superstars, but I like 21 points is is okay, I guess, but when Kawhi's
It's
not
not
there,
enough.
Paul George, what do you like? You gotta have more points.
It's
Like
not enough.
we're seeing Kawhi put up 28. What was that? 28, and James Harden had 35 when Paul George isn't playing. Or wait, was Paul George playing that game? That was Pacers. In the
Paul George
game
was
that
playing that game.
Paul George missed, that was the
The
Mavs.
Mavericks.
Like
Yeah.
Kawhi put up 30 points. Like
Stepped up.
so,
Yeah.
I'm thinking Paul George has got to do more. This is a game where even if we lose, Paul George has got to have 30 plus. Man, this is unacceptable to me in 30 minutes. Like I just don't, in a game where you're kind of the number one scoring option for us, and you're
Yeah.
not really balling. I mean, it's just like frustrating because I'm thinking how do the Celtics have everyone playing? They have Jason Tatum, they have Jaylen Brown, Derek White playing, and Jason Tatum is the number one option, and he's getting 30 points, and he's sharing the ball with all these other players. You know what I mean? And like again, yeah, our defense was bad. Yeah, the Celtics scored 145 total points on us, but I'm just saying, like, if other players are able to score that many points, and they're also giving their other teammates the ball half the time, what's your excuse, Paul George? You're not giving the ball to anyone. You're giving it. I mean, I guess James Harden, but like you don't. James Harden gets the ball and he passes to you. You're the guy that is supposed to be scoring, and you're not scoring. So that's how I feel. And I think that once Kawhi comes back, I think everyone's going to get back into shape and into order.
Yeah.
but it was just kind of a disappointing game because I wanted to feel good going into Christmas and thinking that the Clippers are the team to beat and we're the best. We beat the Celtics, but it's seeming right now that without Kawhi, we're kind of just your everyday team in the NBA.
Yeah, I to kind of wrap it up, I'm just sort of running a little bit over time, but yeah, to wrap it up to kind of encapsulate that, I think that this team needs to be better, particularly Kawhi or Paul George. This team needs to be better about being more flexible because you have to assume that one of Kawhi or PG or James or Russ, they're going to miss some time. And so we have to be, whoever is available, we have to be better at being flexible and okay, so we're missing Kawhi, so we're gonna have to make up for some mid-range jumpers, or like we're gonna have to be able to like get creative and figure out how to replicate those points in whatever way, or replicate what we're missing. And it seems like whenever one of these pieces is away, Kawhi did a good job stepping up the last couple games that he played without Paul George or whatever. But we need to be better at on the fly realizing, okay, this is what we need to do because we're missing X, Y, and Z. Or like we need to be able to remain the same team because we have the personnel to do this. We need to be able to remain the same team when we might be missing somebody. Or, it can't be like we're doing the same things that we were doing when Kawhi was here and we're just going to hope that's enough. We have to be able to find a way on the fly to figure out how to replicate that stuff, and I think we will. But it was just frustrating to see. But yeah, there's really not much else that needs to be said about this game other than the fact that we played a really good team and we played bad and we didn't have our best players. So hopefully Kawhi can come back against this next game against the Charlotte Hornets, a very bad team, 7-20. They haven't been a good team in a while, and I think that we've done a good job in beating them when we've played against them. We should be able to win this one. This one's coming, I think, the day after Christmas. Um, so I think that we can get back on track, especially if we have Kawhi in this one. Get back on track and beat a team that we should beat by all accounts. Their leading scorer is Terry Rozier. They have pieces that can get it going, but for the most part, I think that with a healthy Clippers team can beat Terry Rozier and
Is
the
is
Charlotte
Melo Ball
Hornets.
playing?
No, he's still out. He's
Oh
he's still out as far as I
well.
know.
Anyways, this team is on a 7 game losing streak, so uh, I don't want to hear any excuses. I don't want to see. I don't want to see the Clippers coming out and talking about we don't have Kawhi or whatever. Like we shouldn't be on our worst day. We should be beating this team.
I agree.
That's all I got to say
Um,
on that.
Yeah, totally. I think let's get back on track. Let's get back to the winning spirit that we had. I think that's not a lot to ask for. We have a lighter schedule this upcoming week, like I mentioned, against the Charlotte Hornets, and then we play the Memphis Grizzlies, who do have Ja back, but I think this is still a team that we can beat. They're missing a lot of key players as well. Ja Morant is great, but he is a smaller guard, and we have some pretty big, sizable defensive-minded wings. We saw it against Tyrese Halliburton, where sometimes physical profile and size can be a detriment, and Ja Morant is smaller than most of our starting lineup. So be able to see what we can do to try and keep the point of attack strong and keep Ja Morant out of the paint, force him into some tough shots. Obviously, Desmond Bain can hit that three, so make sure you keep locked into him. But other than that, I think these are both two games that we can win, get back on track before we have a pretty fat schedule the week after playing Miami, Phoenix, New Orleans, and then the Lake Show. So let's get back on track,
Whew.
guys. Let's get back to winning. Two losses out of four against two very good teams. We'll go ahead and take it, but we have to try and correct what we can, especially if we get Kawhi back in this next 2 game stretch. So, any closing statements, Rolla, that you might have?
Yeah, I mean, you said everything. You said everything with the Memphis game. I think we have the tools and the capabilities to defend Desmond Bain and Ja. And I think once we shut them out, kind of like the same way with the Pacers. Once we shut out their main players, it's kind of breezy, easy breezy, beautiful
Cover girl.
dubs.
Yep.
That's all I want to
Uh,
see.
last thing I want to ask you, Rolla, is do we have any hot takes going into this week? I know
Uh,
you're a big fan of those.
let's see. Um, I think my hot take is um I have one hot take with I guess not regarding the Clippers,
Okay.
and um I think it's going to be
Throw your
regarding
shade, Rolla. Throw your
it's
shade. Come
not
on.
it's not shade, it's actually the opposite. I think that there's a
Throw your
man
bright.
that I don't even know if we were talking. I don't know if we went over this, but you know how like everyone was talking about how Zion Williamson is fat and chubby and he's not a great player, blah 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 blah. I think I think we see a new Zion Williamson. I think because he gets compared to Ja so much, I think we see a Zion Williamson newly motivated, and I know I don't know if you remember this, but I bet you last year, 2 years ago, $100 that Zion Williamson would win a championship before Jason Tatum. And I truly, truly believe in that
I can't remember. Did
because
I accept that bet?
you definitely did. You
Okay.
definitely did.
All
Because
right.
that
Well, let's
was the
see.
year that they went to the finals. And
Yes.
I was like, they're not going to beat the Warriors because Jason Tatum isn't him.
Yeah.
But I mean, lo and behold, they didn't win. Anyways, I think Zion Williamson's build, and I think, well, not his build now. I mean, if he lost like if he lost like 100 pounds, like I'm not exaggerating. If he literally lost 100 pounds, he'd be so
Dude, Zion's
he'd be
never gonna be
so good,
180,
dude.
dude.
Dude,
Zion's
he's
never
no,
gonna
he's
be
like,
180. He would honestly look
bro.
terrifying.
Honestly,
As
on some real shit, if he stepped on a scale today, bro, I'm thinking he's like 330 pounds.
no fucking way.
I think he,
330. He weighs
I
as
think,
much as Shaq.
yes, I think he weighs as much as Shaq, bro. He's huge, bro. Have you seen him, bro? He can barely run.
I have seen him. I have seen him.
I think he has to be 300. There's no way he's in the 200s.
He's listed at 284.
God.
6'6".
And that was probably the beginning of the year, right?
I don't know.
Or I think I'm
So
thinking,
basically,
like,
your hot take is Zion's gonna slim down to 120 pounds.
no. I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna slim down a little bit. I think he's gonna go from 300. He might be like, because I mean, if you think about it, these players are burning so many calories every day just from practice, like games and all that. I think if he
Yeah.
eats well for the rest of the
It's
season,
tough,
bro,
dude. He lives in New Orleans, bro. You got
I know,
po' boys and beignets
but
all around.
I think he's gonna hit. I think he's gonna hit that depression, you know, and I think he's gonna really like lock in. And I think everyone's gonna hype up Ja. They're gonna be like, "You shouldn't have been the number one pick. It should have been Ja." And they've already been saying this, so I think
Right.
he's gonna really really step it up. He's a great player. He makes the right plays. He's
He
hard to
is.
guard. He's quick off the bounce, off the rip, and
He gave us the business.
Of course he did, because he's him. Anyways, that's my hot take. I think Zion is going to get
Taking it to the bank.
I think that this is a Western Conference Finals level team that that Zion's on, the Pelicans. I think potentially they could win a chip. I don't think it'll be obviously this year, but I think next year or in 2 years, once Zion hits like 240, 250, then he'll be quicker. Yeah, I think he can keep his muscle. He'll be basically the size he was when he was in like college, high school. Perfect size.
Okay.
Now he's just like a fat dude playing basketball. And I hate to say it, but he's a big boy.
All right, Stephen
And,
A.
and what? Yeah, I mean it's just the truth, bro. Look at the, like, even look at his look at his picture, bro. He's got the chub on, bro, and
Yeah.
an NBA player whose job is to be fit. They're paying him millions of dollars just to be fit and play the sport of basketball. I mean, the least he could do is slim down a little bit, you know?
I got you. So your hot take is that he's going to slim down and he's going to start competing.
Yep.
Okay. I heard that. I would love to see it. I I don't really have a hot take this week, but I'll piggyback off that, Rolla.
Okay.
I do think that Zion has another gear that he can reach. He just got to stay healthy. So,
I mean, this
yeah,
this Pelicans team is a different team when he's playing, bro. They're a
yeah,
different team. They're so
totally.
good. They
Yeah,
have
and
two.
Brent,
They have so
he's got
many.
Brandon Ingram next to
Yeah,
him, and
yeah.
but yeah, I would love to see it. So we'll keep an eye on Zion Williamson's weight and and his production as well. Moving forward. But I think that wraps up our our episode of the Clip Service podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As Rolla said off top, you can find us on Amazon Music, Spotify, Deezer, Apple Podcasts. You can find us on YouTube. Please comment anything that you would like to, anything that you'd like to see. Find us on Twitter. Shout us out at Clip Service Pod. And as Rolla also said, we do have an Instagram now, so give us a follow on that. Thank you guys so much. We hope you have an amazing Christmas. Everybody stays healthy. Hope you guys get whatever you ask for from Santa, um, because he's coming to town.
I'm asking for some wins, bro. I'm asking for some wins.
Yes, yes. Santa's about to deliver us some wins down that chimney, guys. So, Clipper Nation, happy holidays,
Happy
Merry
holidays.
Christmas, and we thank you guys so much for tuning in. So,
Thank you,
until next
guys.
week, thank you guys so much, and go Clips.
Go Clips.